Hi everybody, welcome to English Digest. I'm Pat.
And I'm Elsie.
And today we're looking at this month's topic-based writing unit, which is all about AI, artificial intelligence, and the way it could affect our lives. So do you think an AI could do your job, Elsie?
I think they can, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're already smart enough to do most of the jobs that we do now.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about my job, and I think an AI could do some of it.
They cannot write for you.
I think it could write simple stuff.
Not as good as yours.
I think if you were doing a simple, like, here's a word, let's put the word in a sentence, you could put the word into the AI, and I think if it was a good AI, it could spit out a good sentence.
Okay.
Now, whether it could do a whole article, again, I think AI has already been used, a program to write like a short news bulletin story. So I think an AI could do some of that bit too, and it could definitely check for errors. I mean, Microsoft Word will underline any typos in a word.
Yes.
So I don't think it's as far off as you might imagine.
But I don't think they will be able to do creative jobs.
I think they will be able
to.
Because remember, this AIs, it's all about what data you give them, right? It's all about giving them enough information. And if they have enough information, they can come up with stuff. So they may not be able to be inspired to create something hugely new, but if you know everything, you could come up with some pretty decent ideas by yourself.
So if they could really do that in the future, what would we do?
Grow food in fields.
种东西啊?
Yes.
Just be a
farmers.
farmer?
Pretty much, yeah. But we'll talk about that in a moment. Let's look at how we are going to discuss this in a topic writing unit. The instructions are, with the advancement of technology and artificial intelligence, AI, more and more jobs that used to be done by people have been replaced by AI. Some people think it helps increase productivity and allows people to concentrate on more sophisticated tasks. Some are, however, concerned we will sooner or later be deprived of our jobs. Please write an essay to share what you think about this. In this article, you should, in the first paragraph, which is argumentative, share your thoughts on whether the use of AI in the workplace should be strictly regulated or widely encouraged, and explain why. And in the second paragraph, which should be narrative, give one example of how your life could be affected with or without the introduction of AI. The article should be at least 120 words in length.
今天的主题写作呢，我们要写的是叙述论说文。那提示给的是随着人工智慧，也就是 artificial intelligence， 简称 AI 的发展，许多过去需要人力的工作呢，逐渐转为由 AI 来代劳。那有些人认为呢，这么做可以提升产能，并且让我们专注于更复杂的工作项目。但是也有一些人担心，有朝一日呢，我们人类会被 AI 取代。那请你写一篇英文作文，阐述你对此议题的看法。文分两段。第一段，注意哦，要先提出你认为在工作领域应该限制还是鼓励 AI 的使用，那并解释你的理由。第二段再接着举出一项实例说明 AI 的使用与否对你所产生的影响。那文长至少是120个单字。
So since this is about us and what we think, we'll be using first person.I believe this, I feel this, and so on. In the first paragraph, you'll be using present tense as it's what you think now. But in the second paragraph, we can use past tense, present perfect, maybe even past perfect to talk about this previous experience. And you could use present tense if it's a common, habitual experience, something you do a lot that's a habit.
我们这篇作文呢，在问的是你的意见、你的经验。好，所以我们要使用的是第一人称。那时态的部分呢，在第一段我们要用现在简单式描述事实。那第二段呢，我们可以用过去简单式、现在完成式或是过去完成式来叙述我们的经验。那当然，如果你在叙述的是平常的习惯，也可以用现在简单式。
Also, one thing to remember is that if you can't think of any real experiences of AI in your life, Just make it up. Even if your story is fake, you can follow the same approach and still come up with a good piece of writing.
是的，考试的时候临时想不到，那就赶快编一个。没有经验也是可以的，你也可以编出一段经验来。那再来呢，我们要注意到何谓叙述论说文。叙述论说文指的是一篇文章当中涵盖叙述跟论说的两种文体。那近期呢，频繁的出现在学测或是指考作文当中。例如110年的指考，你对英语授课要如何因应与规划，还有109年的指考，校园安全的重要性跟采取措施，以及108年的学测，台湾最让你感到骄傲的面向与行销方式。这一类的文题第一部分会先针对主题加以论说，提出结论，然后再到第二个部分，也就是第二段，依照结论叙述某个现象、经验或是事件。这两个部分的顺序也是可以对调的。
So this essay is part argumentative, part narrative. The first part is your thesis statement and your opinions with supporting details. The second paragraph is basically one big supporting detail, a personal story told as a narrative or series of events to support the argument you made in your first paragraph.
再来我们要写什么怎么写。英文作文的架构基本上呢分为引言 introduction， 文章的主体 body， 还有结论 conclusion。 那这一篇叙述论说文也是要以这样的架构来发展的。
So yes, with all essays, we need an introduction to let people know what the topic is, a body that gives all of the reasons in the first paragraph and a story in the second, and then a conclusion to bring everything together.Introduction
是文章的引言，说明文章要探讨的主题与动机。那全文的主旨句也就是 thesis statement， 常在第一段就点出来。以本次题目所要求的应该鼓励或是限制 AI 的使用为例， Introduction 有以下几种写法。第一个，大众对于 AI 的普遍看法，我们可以把它叙述出来。第二个就是近期与 AI 相关的新闻事件。第三个，个人对于 AI 的认识跟看法，好像是本次的基础跟进阶范文就是用这样的方式写的。
Your introduction should be short and straight to the point. You'll need to use the key words artificial intelligence and AI in the first sentence, maybe the second, and also pretty early on give your opinion about whether AI should be encouraged or restricted.
那再来呢 body 是文章的主体，主要分为两大部分。依照题目的要求，第一部分呢必须先解释鼓励或限制 AI 的使用，还有你的理由是什么。好，这个就是论说的部分了。那两篇范文呢皆在分享个人想法之后，紧接着说明与其立场吻合的论述。第二个部分则必须举出自己的生活经验，那就是叙述的部分了。要注意举出的实例必须要呼应论述的部分，以维持文章的一致性跟连贯性。
So the body is all the key information. Follow the instructions to tell you what's in the paragraphs. Make sure your ideas build onto each other and flow from one to the next. You've likely already given your opinion in the topic sentence in the introduction, so this should be all your reasons and examples for your thesis statement in the first paragraph and your story in the second.
最后来到 conclusion， 也就是文章的结论，综合个人的立场跟经验，以个人的期待或推测，亦或是引用相关领域可以加强文章观点的论述作结。那文章在结尾处文句应该简洁有力，且切勿提出新的想法。好，前面没有提到的，在结尾就不要再提出来了，才能够让读者留下深刻的印象哦。
The important job of this conclusion is to tie your story back to the thesis statement from your first paragraph and kind of explain how the story supports your thesis statement. So let's brainstorm.
OK， 接下来到了 brainstorming 的时间了。那根据题目的要求呢，我们可以很快的发现这篇文章主要3个要素。第一个就是立场。鼓励或是限制，你要选一个。再来就是理由，好，你鼓励的理由是什么？你限制的理由是什么？还有就是经验的实例叙述。那因此呢，我们可以透过以下的 Y 形图来做整理哦，我们就可以很快的找出文章的方向，并将这些素材呢进一步组织为我们的 outline。
You should brainstorm your ideas for any kind of article. There are many ways you can do this: simple notes, a word web, a chart, bullet points, whatever works for you. So the first decision you need to make is whether AI development should be encouraged or restricted. Decide this first. Once you've done that, you need 1. Some reasons to support it, and 2. A story to support it. Now, in our magazine, there's a why diagram that could help you brainstorm. In the middle, we have the side of the argument you've chosen, encouraged or restricted. In the one we've got first, it's encouraged, and then the why. 2 reasons. 1. Better online services. 2. New jobs.
在这个 Y 型图当中啊，我们看到 AI 的使用是被鼓励的，因为你看到它上方写的是 encouraged。那理由是什么呢？我们可以看到左边有2项，一个是有更好的线上服务，第二个是有更多的工作机会。
So the story should really follow on from one or other of these why points. Online services is easier to write about because these exist now, while with job opportunities related to AI, we're still kind of guessing a bit. So the story is about online translation programs that could be improved with better AI support.
那在 Y 型图的右手边呢，你会看到它写的是 real life example， 那就是真实的经验。有一些翻译工具呢还不够精准，所以更厉害的 AI 可以提供这样的帮助。
So we could go the other way and restrict AI development. And this is what the advanced sample in our magazine is about. And another Y diagram is used in the same way. So again, first choice, encouraged or restricted. Here we've got restricted. And in this case, the supporting reasons are the loss of creative careers. That's the argument for why it should be restricted.
好，所以相反的版本我们看到呢，最上方写的是 restricted， 应该限制 AI 的发展。那理由是什么？一样提供2个，就是会让创意产业流失。
And the story is going to support this idea by showing something creative that an AI produced as an example of how the future could end up being.
所以后面呢又写到 AI 可以创造游戏，那就会造成创意产业的人力没有办法发挥。
So now we've figured out all of those details with our brainstorm, we can turn them into an outline, getting the right order of sentences. We can connect the sentences, add more details later, of course, but let's get the overall outline down first. Paragraph 1's introduction is, I often read about developments in AI in the news. So this introduces the general topic. It doesn't include the thesis statement, but that's okay because we can get to that next.
OK， 这边的 introduction 是带出基本的概念，那是不具任何细节的，也没有讲它是要 encourage 还是 restrict AI 的发展。
So in the body starts with the thesis statement. I'm looking forward to a time when AI plays a bigger role in our lives.
他用到了 I'm looking forward to， 那就代表呢，作者是支持并期待更多更好的 AI 发展。
So this is the encouraged side, and now the reasons to support this. A, it will improve many online services. B, AI will allow them to learn and improve like humans. C, AI will also open up new jobs in the industry. And D, it's exciting. So A is kind of the first point from the brainstorm, with B as well. C is kind of the second point in the brainstorm, and D covers both points.
没错，所以这边有4点。第一个是可以改善线上的服务，第二个是 AI 可以让他们和人一样学习精进，那第三个是可以带来更多的工作机会，最后一个就是说呢，这些事情是令人兴奋的。那接下来就要到第2段，带出 personal experience 自身的经验。
Yeah, paragraph 2, as we said, we're going to tell a personal experience, and it's based on the first reason. So that's points A and B from the first paragraph. And it says, I can give you one example of how AI will improve my life. So there we've got a topic sentence for that paragraph to show the purpose of the story is to support the thesis statement.
是的，这边呢，在主题句的部分就清楚地告诉我们，接下来会有一个例子说明 AI 是怎么样改善他的生活。
So here is the story in a very basic outline sense. Not the full details, just the basic outline. I often use translation programs to learn foreign languages. That's A. B. The results are full of weird sentences and grammar mistakes. C. If the software has a more advanced AI, it will get better.OK,
那这边提供了3句话。第一个是使用翻译工具学习外语是这个作者常做的事情。不过呢，来到了第2点，他发现呢里面有很多奇怪的句子和文法。所以第3，他说如果软体有更精进的 AI， 那就会更好。
And then the conclusion to it all, I can't wait for that day.
所以等不及那天到来，那就解释了刚刚 outline 当中为什么他要说 it's exciting.
Yeah, things like I can't wait, I'm looking forward to, it's exciting. All those things work together to make the tone of it, yes, I'm excited, I want more AI. So an outline can then have more details and transitions added as you turn it into your full essay. Make sure you follow a logical structure so that ideas flow. Don't leave out any details. And it's easy to include too much information that's not related to the points you want to make. The outline is necessary because it keeps your writing to the point and helps you cut out information you don't need or realize, I need more details to support this part. You can do that in the outline. It's easier to find these things and see them in the outline and then make a modification than it is to read your whole essay and go, oh no, this is all wrong. Do all of that stuff at the outline stage.
是的，一样哦，我们的 outline 架构是非常重要的，可以让你写出重点，然后避免不必要太杂乱的资讯。
We're going to take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll be reading through our 2 samples. So let's start with our basic sample. I often read articles about developments in artificial intelligence, AI, in the news.I'm looking forward to a time when AI plays a bigger role in our day-to-day lives. For one thing, it will improve a lot of the online services we use by allowing them to learn and improve just like humans do. For another, I think a lot of new jobs will open up in the AI industry. It's a really exciting time for technology lovers.Let me give you an example of how AI could improve my daily life. I often use translation programs to help me read things in other languages, particularly English. However, the results produced by these programs are often full of unnatural sentences and grammar mistakes. If the software had a more advanced AI, it would learn and get better over time. I can't wait for that day.So here we follow the outline that we gave in our first part of our recording pretty closely, just adding the usual transition words and phrases, plus a few extra details to fill that outline in. And it basically refers to, do you ever use Google Translate and you think, what is this result? This doesn't make any sense?Yes,
so we need a better AI to fix that problem.
Exactly. I think Google Translate does have a very basic AI kind of powering it, but it's not one that kind of learns and gets better over time like a really powerful AI would.
Right.OK, 所以这边有一些 transition words and phrases 我想要稍微帮同学们点出来哦，像是呢你要带出理由的时候，你当然可以用第一、第二 first, second， 但你也可以像我们这边的作者一样，用 for one thing 再用 for another 带出另外一个，这是很好的选择。
Yeah, one other thing to look at in the second paragraph there, it says these programs are often full of unnatural sentences. Now, what it means there is that while the sentence that comes out of like an online translator, maybe it looks like a grammatically correct sentence, but it's not a sentence any native speaker would ever say.Right. And a native speaker would look at that and say, no one would say that. Okay, it's technically correct, but nobody talks like that. That sounds like a translated sentence.
Yeah, and some of our students still don't know that they create such unnatural sentences. So they might translate their sentences on Google and then copy and paste.
Yep, bad idea.
Become their writing material, writing work, and then we'll
Yeah, it won't really work. It's not something you'd want to rely on in real life, so don't rely on these online translators. They are useful. I do use mine, especially with the camera function in if I'm at the shops or if I'm in restaurants, and I just want to check, what's this on the menu? You know, what is this? I'm trying to buy the right thing here. But I also know that even if I use the camera function on Google Translate, I've got to take the results with a pinch of salt. It's not going to be exactly right. So I'm just kind of hoping it gives me the right general idea.
What is this camera function talking about?
You use a smartphone, you point it, you press the camera button, and instead of you having to type in the words, it will scan whatever's written on the menu, and then it will give you the translation.
I haven't used that function
You've never
before.
used that?
Oh my God.
You don't? That's a lifesaver for me because I can't read Chinese very well. So I'll just point my smartphone at a menu and it'll tell me, you know, this is at least, you know, is this a meat dish? Is this what kind of food is this? It's not an exact perfect translation, but it will tell me at least.
You still can get an idea, right?
You know, like, oh, that's you doufu. That is Baiye doufu. Which one's which if I can't read it very well? Okay, let's now move on to our advanced sample. I always shudder when I read about developments in artificial intelligence, AI. I can't help but feel that we'll reach a point where AI is able to do all of the creative jobs that humans do now. An AI could make interesting commercials and movies, write books, and even create art. All you'd need to do is feed it enough data. My concern is that if AI can do all of these jobs, what's left for humans to do? With no creative careers available, we'll be reduced to menial tasks like growing food for ourselves and generating electricity to power our AI programs. It's for these reasons that I believe AI should be regulated so that it is only used for certain things. Here's an example that demonstrates that we're already close to this future. I recently played an online game that I really enjoyed. The virtual worlds were beautiful, and while the game was short, it was a lot of fun. However, when I went to find out more about the game, I discovered it had been created by an AI. Sure, a few humans were involved, but only in programming it. I'm sure video game companies would prefer to have an AI do all their creative work for free so they can save money on artists and writers. Think of all the creators who might lose out on their dream job, and then see if you still think unrestrained AI is a good idea.
Wow, so an AI can even create a game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's an article in this month's magazine about somebody who won an art competition by doing AI.
Oh, I've read about that.
Yeah, he just used the program and the program created the art. So is that human art or is that machine art?
So an AI might be able to write an essay in the future.
Yeah, it could write an essay, it can write news stories, it could do all of this stuff. And if it's going to do that, what about us? So that's why we have this opposite opinion here. More of a warning, more of a this is going to be bad. That's why there's a lot of kind of negative sorts of language, worried kind of language. And we can look at some of that language, starting with the word shudder. Shudder is something your body does. It's a reaction to, it could be the cold, something scary, something disgusting. It's just that kind of shake that you make when you're like, no, this is bad.
就是因负面感受而发抖的这个动作 shudder.
So the idea here is that an AI can do anything if you feed it enough data. That's why if you think of all these amazing chess computer games, how do they beat human players? It's because the AI has been fed lots of chess data and therefore can think up and remember and look up moves where humans are like, what should I do? I've got to really think hard to figure out my next move. And you get the AI that good by feeding it data. Feed normally means to give something food. Here, it's actually more like input the data, put the data into the AI program.
是的，我们以前学的 feed 都是喂食的动作，那这边其实也很像，就是把点点点把资讯输入到仪器当中。
And so the worry is that there'd be no creative careers available. And so what would people do? We'd be reduced to tasks like growing food. If somebody is reduced to something, it means a lot of their options have been taken away and they don't really have many choices, many opportunities left. It's like, well, I suppose this is the only thing I can do.Reduce
是减少，那 reduce somebody to something 那就是让某个人呢只能去做某一件事情。
Right, like if you couldn't get money from your bank or borrow it from your parents, you might go, oh, I was reduced to taking it from a loan shark who charged me a big interest rate.
那要注意哦 to 是介系词，所以你后面呢只能加名词或是 VING。Yeah,
and the thing we're being reduced to in this case would be menial tasks. Something menial is something that's low-skilled, does not take a lot of intelligence, doesn't take a lot of skill. It's just things like heavy lifting, planting, growing, building. Now, some of that can involve a lot of skill, but menial stuff is just like, okay, do this, press the next button. Do this, press the next button. It's stuff that's boring.Menial
这个形容词代表单调制式的，所以可能只是按一个按键这么简单的工作。那这边提到的是像 growing food， 好，我们种植自己要吃的食物，或是 generating electricity。Yeah,
if your only job was like, okay, I've just got to do something that makes electricity. It's going to be pretty, do this, press this button. Check the levels when it reaches 100, press this button. Not taking a lot of skill, intelligence, creativity.So the example talks about an online game that was created by an AI with a virtual world. Virtual is used in this case to mean it only exists in a computer. It exists online or in a computer program.
也就是虚拟的。
Okay, and at the end of the second passage, the writer says, think of all the creators who might lose out on their dream job. To lose out means you don't get something.Usually because somebody else or something else has got it or you just ran out of time. Like you could have got that thing, but something else prevented you, so you lose out.
也就是处于劣势的意思。
Couple of other words. We did mention generating electricity. Generate, of course, just means you make it, you produce it in some way.
也就是制造。
And then one of the final words in the article is unrestrained. If you still think unrestrained AI is a good idea. To restrain something means hold it back. So I'm going to restrain this dog by putting it on a lead, something like that. So if something is restrained, it is held back. That's the kind of passive ED form. So unrestrained means not restrained. It means it has no limits. It can do anything it wants. We're just giving it complete freedom.
也就是不被限制的。
Okay, well, that is all the time we've got. I'll have to see how you guys feel. Go and check out our other article about AI art, that kind of thing. There's plenty of stuff to discuss here, and it's something that humans are going to have to face over the next kind of maybe 20, 30, 50, however many years.
We might lose our jobs.
Some of it we're facing right now. But that's all the time we've got for English Digest. I'm Pat.
I'm Elsie.
Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.